Group D, England, Scotland, Croatia, and Czech Republic. Now, it kicks off with England against Croatia. This is a replay.
Rematch.
A rematch of the World Cup semi-final 3 years ago. I have to say, on that occasion, England lost that game for different reasons. One of them, I thought they were completely out-thought up here and out-fought on the pitch. They're deeper and more talented now, but are they better? Has Southgate progressed, or are they clear favorites in the group, I guess is what I'm asking.
So I think they are clear favorite. I think on paper, they're a much better squad and a much better team than they were 3 years ago, because some players who were not there even, who've exploded, the likes of Phil Foden, Mason Mount. I think if this Euros was played really in 2020, they would not be Mount, they would not be Foden. So I think this is a really good thing for England to have all this incredible attacking talent. There's a few things here. As you know, I'm not a big Southgate fan at all. I don't think that in terms of the identity he could have given to this team, and I know international football is very different to club football and it's harder to do, but still, I still think that they should be playing far much better than what they do right now. And it's not Southgate's fault if he could not play his strongest 11 in the 2 games they had to prepare for these Euros, because of how far United, City and Chelsea went into European competition. So that's fine.
It's not his fault, but
it is a bit. It could have still...
But we think it has an impact. It will have an impact,
of course,
on these guys who step on the pitch on Sunday against Croatia.
Completely.
These are people who will hardly have trained together.
Yeah.
And I think even now, I struggle to think what the 11 is going to be. I mean, I can kind of guess, but there could be so much change.
Yeah, completely. And also, whatever that 11 is, they haven't played together since never, and maybe not since March, because there's clearly going to be some players who haven't been taking part in the last 2 games. So I find that a bit disturbing. England usually, certainly at Euros, always starts wrong. I mean, they've never won an opening game at the Euros.
I don't know if that's relevant, is it?
It is relevant, because I think it shows you that they maybe find it difficult from the beginning. And I just think also they've got an issue with keeping leads, because every time they're in the lead, every time they go in front, and you talked about the semi-final of the World Cup 3 years ago where they were in front, and they keep letting teams coming back into games, sometimes for a draw, sometimes for a defeat as well. And I just think there's an issue somewhere, and must be with Southgate's substitutions, if you can't keep a lead when you're winning, and yet you let the opposition come back every time pretty much.
There is a scenario where, given that it's England, given that it's home, given that historically I don't want to massively generalize, and maybe this generation will be different, but historically English players do not deal very well with pressure.
Yeah.
On top of that, they are effectively playing at home.
Completely.
You could see, and add in the fact that they start tournaments slowly, and again, I put a lot less stock than you do in historical stuff. I don't see how it's relevant what happened in 2000, but it is another factor that could weigh in people's minds. If they don't beat Croatia, and then the Scotland game turns into the kind of zoo that often these Scotland-England games often are, and then all of a sudden they're in a must-win situation against Czech Republic, it could get pretty tasty pretty quickly. Maybe not in terms of going out, but in terms of finishing as a 3 seed, and then you go and play somebody really good.
Yeah, you're right.
That's got to weigh on you a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. And then when do you start thinking of, okay, the team that will finish second in this group will play the team that finishes first in the France, Germany, Portugal group? Is there a point where, and maybe there's a reason, you're such a competitor when you're at that level that you want to win every game and finish top of the group. However, is there a part of you who think this is better if we finish second and not win this group?
That's insightful. I didn't even look at that part of the draw because I don't like getting ahead of myself, but that could be a really...
almost in a way that at the World Cup, it was good for them in the end to finish where they did in the group, so they went into the easiest, if you want, side of the draw.
No, that's a good point.
And Belgium went into the hardest side of the draw.
I'll go even further. Psychologically, I think these guys would suffer much more if Germany wins that group and they have to play Germany than if they have to play France, even though France are a much better team. But knowing what we know about England, so that would actually be a really big scenario. But then again, for England to finish second or not win the group, somebody else would have to win the group. Yeah. And I look at this Croatia team, and amazing, huh? They're all older. And I think they've lost players who, I think that World Cup, I think I went to 5 or 6 of the Croatia games, and what you could see was this just obviously tremendous team spirit, tremendous unity, but you could see the veterans really making their experience count, and they gave the impression of outworking everybody else, especially Modric. I mean, you see Modric at the end of games, and I mean, he looked like he was a corpse because he left everything on the pitch. He's obviously had a very good season. He obviously is at that older stage where he can manage his body in short spurts. They've obviously lost people like Mandzukic, Subasic, the goalkeeper. I think that there's some issues there. But I wonder, how much do they still have? How much can Zlatko Dalic still bottle from 4 years ago or 3 years ago?
I have to say, as great as they were in 18, I think for me this is still an OAP team. I'm sorry. I know the older ones, well, not even the oldest, but have retired. I saw them against Belgium the other day, and I didn't see any energy. I didn't see any intensity. I didn't see.
But that's the Croatia thing, right?
Yeah,
they use the intent. They know they don't have a lot of it, so they use the intensity when it matters.
True, but I still think, and if you look on paper, it's such a talented squad. You know, even the one that came in, like the youngest one, like Brecalo, for example, and there's still talent there. It's just, I don't know. I really don't believe in them. Maybe wrongly, but I don't believe in them in this format. I think they'll flop.
Where are we with the Czech Republic?
It's an interesting one. They would be solid and they would be hard to beat, and they've got.
Yeah, they looked real solid and hard to beat against.
No, I mean Italy were good, and it was not their strongest 11. But you know what I mean. I think there would be a threat on set pieces, of course, and they've got some good gifted players. I mean, Adam Hrozek, which is their big hope and promise, who's 18, who's a wonderful talent, who I really hope we get to see a little bit in this tournament. Fantastic. Patrick Schick is full of talent,
but so inconsistent.
So inconsistent, and I think this is a team that could explode very quickly.
You know that Souček played, you probably knew this, he played like every minute of every game. Even the one game where he got sent off, he was sent off after the night. Made sure he was sent off for the 90th after the 90th minute. The guy, he's the size of a building. The guy, and he runs all day. It's
crazy.
He's some kind of cyborg. Like he's some kind of like half man, half machine. He will create matchup problems. And
at club level, they did well. You know, pretty much all of them. And there's a big core, obviously, of players who play for Slavia or Sparta. And
I do think, though, that Croatia are still talent-wise and experience-wise are a level above. So I think it's going to come down to them or Scotland. Scotland with the 2 left backs. I'm assuming Tierney's going to play as a third. And I don't want to be.
I love it. You know, of all the questions we ask about countries like this before, and you know, okay. How do you play the Griezmann, Mbappe, Benzema thing? You know, what do you do with Kimmich? For the Scots, it's like, how can we play Robertson and Tierney together? And I mean, they're all great questions to ask and dilemma to solve. But you know,
so I guess they're going to play. They've been playing a back 3. So Tierney's going to be the left-sided center half, which I know he's done that for Arsenal occasions. But I just kind of think like, all right, it's suboptimal having him there, because he could give more on the wing, but then he's got Andy Robertson on the wing, so obviously. The thing about Robertson, this shocked me. You know, he started 61 games in the last 9 months and 1 week. I don't know what that guy is made of. And he plays with so much energy.
The performances haven't been as good as the ones from the season before either. So maybe he played too much. And we've said many times through the season, and for all the people who listen to us, you know, what about resting him? What's happening to Tsimikas, who joined? I think
he was rested in a Champions League game where he came on. I think it was the last Champions League game, and also the 3rd round of the FA Cup against the Muppet Show or whoever they were playing.
You know what I would do? I would play them 1 left back and 1 left midfielder, and they can bomb forward one after the other, so you can rest instead of having to do, like, let's say 5 high intensity runs on your left hand side. You do 1. And then take a breather while the other one does the run. And then I think that could work. It's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Steve Clark, really, listen.
It's an interesting one because, you know, McTominay's been playing in the back 3.
Yeah.
But they have a defensive midfielder. It's Ryan Jack, who's unavailable. So I wonder if you'd be tempted to put McTominay back into midfield and go 4. I don't think he's going to do that. And again, we expect them to be so far back that maybe it'll be, effectively, it'll be essentially the same outcome.
And they've got home games too, so you never know. I think Scotland could do well in this group. It would depend a lot on Croatia.
All right, so we both have England winning the group, though?
Yeah.
All right, followed by Croatia. Yeah. Yeah, I got
Yeah,
it.
but no. You know what? I think Croatia will flop. Croatia will finish third, and I'll go Scotland for second.
You heard it here first.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.